Hello there. I've created this presentation in order to summarize the current state of the COVID-19 pandemic specific to the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain in Louisiana on January 10th, 2021. This presentation is largely an update from last week's presentation, covering largely the same topics, but with a little bit of new information and hopefully a little bit more clarity on the information presented. The hope is that the information could be useful to school administrators here in St. Tammany Parish and to parents who are making decisions for their families. Primary sources for this data can be found in the video description below. So as mentioned last week, according to the State Superintendent of Education guidelines updated on September 16, 2021, these resources and the guidelines were developed through collaboration with experts on the virus, public health officials, and experts on what this guidance looks like when put into practice, school leaders and educators. Health guidelines are outlined by the Louisiana Department of Health to ensure student safety. Of importance or of interest is the statement that is made within these guidelines. Our top focus is the health and safety of students and employees as we support systems in their efforts to reopen and operate schools. So this information has not been updated since last week's update because we do not have meaningful data for student and faculty cases that have been reported during the winter break over Christmas and New Year's. But of importance to mention is that an increasing number of statewide cases have been seen in the schools up to the Christmas holidays, and a higher proportion of cases in St. Tammany Parish relative to the rest of the state have been seen here since Thanksgiving. So if we look at the total cases for St. Tammany Parish, students and faculty combined, we see that we have less than 200 cases were reported on October 18th. By the time school let out for the winter holidays, we had over 1,100 cases were confirmed in St. Tammany schools. If we look at the percentage of total cases for St. Tammany Parish as a percentage of Louisiana statewide cases, we see that St. Tammany Parish in November 22nd 6% of all cases reported in Louisiana had come from St. Tammany Parish versus the 20th of December when 8.6% of all cases reported in Louisiana were from St. Tammany Parish, indicating that the increase in St. Tammany Parish is greater relative to other case loads reported statewide in the school system here in St. Tammany Parish. Community risk by parish. All parishes on the North Shore, and for that case, for that matter, all parishes in Louisiana currently remain in the highest risk category. Highest risk is defined as cumulative 7-day incidence of greater than 100 cases per 100,000 residents and a cumulative positivity rate of greater than 10%. The interpretation of this is that widespread uncontrolled transmission with many undetected cases is highly likely. If we look at the Louisiana statewide COVID-19 cases and deaths as of January 8th, 2021, again, this is for the entire state, we see that we have a 7-day running daily average of 3,737 new cases reported in the state of Louisiana. This is the highest number of new cases reported since the beginning of this pandemic. And unfortunately, the death rate is also at an average of about 50 deaths per day. That's as a 7-day running daily average, and that number is the highest since the April peak in the state of Louisiana. Unfortunately, with the higher case rates occurring today, typically we see a couple-week lag between the cases and the fatalities. So we can expect that 7-day running daily average of 49, unfortunately, may continue to increase at least for the next couple of weeks. At the current situation. Positivity rate on the North Shore currently stands at 16.1% positivity. That has increased from less than 4% in October. And what does the positivity rate indicate? A higher percentage positive suggests that higher transmission is likely and that there are likely more people with coronavirus in the community who haven't been tested yet. In other words, if we have a 16% positivity rate, it's likely that there is an uncontrolled outbreak occurring because more cases are actually happening here than we are aware of, and that the people themselves are probably aware of. So if we look at hospitalizations across the state of Louisiana, currently statewide ICU bed availability is 19%. So we do have a little bit of leeway there. However, COVID hospitalizations are at 2,069, which is up 20% in the last week alone across the state of Louisiana. Therefore, that ICU bed availability rate of 19% has decreased through time and potentially may decrease going forward, although we, of course, do not know that, and we'll have to wait for the next update next week. If we look at hospitalizations on the Louisiana North Shore, we see a 649% increase since late October, from a low of 39 hospitalizations occurring due to COVID in the North Shore to now 253 hospitalizations. ICU bed availability in the North Shore region stands today at 18%, which is about the same level as the state average. So in summary, data indicates that Lake Pontchartrain's North Shore is currently seeing an uncontrolled community spread of the coronavirus. Hospitalizations attributed to COVID-19 on North Shore have increased by 650% in about 2 months and are currently at levels surpassing both the April peak and the summer surge. The update last week indicated 233 hospitalizations. This week, again, as was mentioned just a second ago, the number has risen to 253. So we're continuing to increase even since last week's update. Louisiana State Superintendent of Education has indicated that school districts should be willing to modify their approaches to education, depending on the current level of risk to students, teachers, and the communities in which they reside. He has also indicated that the top focus of the Louisiana Department of Education is the health and safety of students and employees as we support systems in their efforts to reopen and operate schools. Given the current COVID-19 situation on the North Shore, it seems reasonable that an adjustment to the current educational approach by the St. Tammany School Board should be considered. I appreciate your time, and I hope you found some of this information helpful.